The Old Gods are one of my favorite storylines in World of Warcraft. Specifically, I've always loved N'Zoth. His ability to plan, his ability to do... Even though Xal'atath said he's dead like the other old... I still think the dagger, he stored a piece of himself in it. He's got a plan. He's still alive somehow, maybe. A man can hope. But the Old Gods are going to be important going forward. We already know Old God blood is being, you know, gathered up by the Nerubians. Something's going on with pieces of Old Gods. We got a mural on a wall of an Old God. Bunch of stuff happening. The Old Gods are important, even though they're supposedly dead at this point. So I think it's important for us to review that lore real quick. Every Old God explained in 20 minutes from Platinum WoW. Let's check this thing out.
I can taste the essence of your soul. Ooh. It is
It is weak. Oh.
In the beginning
Sweet.
of the entire Warcraft universe, the Void Lords existed. Ephemeral and endlessly powerful entities of shadow whose ultimate goal is to consume the entire universe in darkness. The Void Lords manifested countless beings called the Old Gods, known as the Shath-Yar in their language, and they hurled them across the cosmos.
Right.
The Old Gods that landed...
This is a very randomized process. If you don't know this, when the Void Lords create Old Gods and they just throw them out there. There's no target. There's no, you know, intention for where they're going. It is literally just shoot them out everywhere randomly, and maybe they stick to something. It's like a virus almost. Like viruses, they can't really control their direction or anything. When you sneeze or whatever, they just spread, or they're carried by the wind, whatever it is, carried in water, and they just happen to stick to something, and that's how they infect it. Same thing with the Old Gods.
And embedded themselves in Azeroth were Yogg-Saron, G'huun, Yogg-Saron, and N'Zoth. From their organic matter, their void servants, the Naraki and the Ahn'Qiraj were born, and during this primordial stage on Azeroth, the Old Gods fought each other and the elemental forces across the world, which they would eventually enslave. This conglomeration of void forces would be called the Black Empire, and if they continued their work, they would surely corrupt the world soul sleeping within Azeroth. But one day, the Titans were floating around space.
The Titans are almost like, you can think of like a, sorry, not the Titans. The Old Gods are almost like a digestive enzyme, I guess you could say, where they prepare the food to be, and they prepare the planet to be, you know, destroyed or eaten or whatever by a Void Lord. That's how they do it. So that was their goal. Now they're never been on the same team necessarily as each other. You know, Yogg-Saron and N'Zoth weren't working together. They all just had a goal of eventually corrupting the planet. And how they did it in different ways, and they did it kind of competitively towards each other. Each one wanted to take it over on their own.
Inspecting their sleeping siblings until...
Oh my goodness!
Okay, panic mode. Azeroth is rumored to be one of the most powerful world souls, and it's on the brink of being corrupted. And the Titans are so powerful that they can't really fight the Old Gods directly without destroying the world in the process.
Right.
So they created the Titan Keepers and the Titan Forged, which are like their little mini-me robot servants, and they fought the Black Empire and banished the enslaved elementals into Titan-created elemental planes. While the elements were locked in their planes, the Titans gave them a mobile phone with a very cool game. A game with over 800 champions, filled with intense PvE and PvP content.
I was like, what is he talking
for
about?
their tactical genius.
Pretty good transition.
You know it. You love it. It's Raid Shadow Legends, and there's some cool content brewing within the game right now. Now, what I like about Raid is there's an actual sense of challenge to it. The biggest advertising budget of any company. You can't roll over every single enemy in the game. You're going to have to build your character's skills, test out strategies, and it really makes it so that you can feel a sense of progression when you play this game. If you haven't started playing, now is a great time. The long-awaited Ninja Champion is coming back.
Damn, what, they got Hanzo in this game now? Shit.
In order to get this devastating hero, you'll need to click the link in the description or scan the QR code and then enter the promo code Ninja Returns in-game. And if you're an existing player, you can get the Ninja Pack for free in the in-game shop. Click the link in the description to scan the QR code and get some huge bonuses to get started.
That was Ninja, wasn't it? That was freaking Ninja. This is Ninja. Oh my god, it looks just like him too. Holy crap. Oh man, I'm reacting to Raid Shadow Legends ads now.
You can find me playing Raid with my in-game name, Platinum Wowza, and you can join my clan, the Platinum Pals. Thank you, Raid Shadow Legends, for sponsoring this video. Okay, back to the war against the old gods and the Titan creations. The end of the war was going really well for the Titans. Except when it came to dealing with Yogg-Saron, the seven-headed old god that inhaled courage and breathed fear.
You cannot succeed. Your cause is hopeless.
This old god was far too strong for the Titan Forge to face, so Ahn'Qiraj, the leader of the Titans, reached down and pulled Yogg-Saron out of the ground like a weed.
All that you have accomplished, all that you have won. Yes.
And while
the sound effects are so good, and it was just giving us some old god whispers that got ripped out from the head on. Oh my god.
The old god was dead, the purging left a giant open wound in Azeroth, which would later turn into the Well of Eternity,
they cross over
an
with
unlimited
Ninja?
font
Jesus.
of the world's power. From the remains of the slain old god, 7 entities called the Prime Shah manifested themselves and would settle in the land that would later be called Pandaria.
Right.
Embrace your rage. Caress your fear. Gorge your hatred. Voice your doubts.
These 7 Prime Shah would not truly awaken until the Horde and the Alliance showed up in the Mist Pandaria expansion, where they harbored all of these negative emotions as they beat the shit out of each other on this new...
Yeah, we messed shit up. We came to Pandaria and messed shit up with our stupid battles and stuff, and Panda Boys tried to tell us to stop, and we didn't listen. Right, that's how the story goes. The fact that all of this came from him being ripped out. Now, the very fact that he got ripped out to me always pointed to that he's probably the strongest, like physically the strongest of the other old gods, right? I feel that's how I always felt, that's why he was specifically targeted by the Titans. And even with his being ripped out, he left us so much behind. Yeah, all these storylines happened because of his prior existence.
...discovered continent. During their imperialistic rampage, they also ran into the Mantid, who worship Yogg-Saron, but the essence of this old god would be no more when Garrosh consumed his heart and is later defeated. Okay, rewind a bit back to when Yogg-Saron was being ripped out of the earth. Clearly doing this to all of the old gods was not going to work. The Titans' new solution to getting rid of the old gods without damaging Azeroth was to simply imprison them.
Yeah.
So all over the world, the Titan Forge created monolithic facilities to contain the essence of these old gods.
Yes.
G'huun was trapped in Ahn'Qiraj, Yogg-Saron and Ulduar, and N'Zoth deep in the ocean in a place named the Circle of Stars. Okay, crisis averted.
Now remember, we're going to find out a lot about these Titan facilities going forward in the War Within, that and the World Soul Saga as a whole. That was one big thing that Chris Metzen said at BlizzCon was we're going to find out why all these Titan facilities were slapped into the side of our planet. Now, one reason a lot of Titan facilities exist is for this, to imprison the remaining old gods. That was certainly the reason. Now, with all of them dead, what is their reason? We'll have to see.
Titan Keepers and their minions were not satisfied just yet. They wanted answers. Who were these old gods? Where did they come from? How did they get so powerful? And most importantly, is there a way to uncorrupt them? Maybe they could kill these parasites without destroying Azeroth. In order to find these answers, the Titan facility called Uldir was created. Within this research fortress, they meticulously experimented with the essence of the old gods. They messed with their pH levels, they played them relaxing Titan music, they busted it down sexual style in order to quell their corruption, and put them through rigorous therapy sessions to deal with their negative emotions.
I guess the tentacles are kind of hard to resist. It's some good head.
These methods worked. In fact, through their experimentation, they created a 5th artificial old god named G'huun.
Yes, G'huun.
The rot runs through your veins. Let it spread.
Their research made this old god prolific in its ability to spread its corruption, so they imprisoned it like all the other old gods.
Makes sense.
My whispers will liquefy your mind.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of years later, G'huun would later be freed by the cultist blood trolls.
What the shit is this model? I don't remember ever seeing this. What the hell? Big titty leather strap troll? What the hell is this? Why don't I remember this? Damn,
blood
I'm
trolls
tripping.
and its moldy,
Maybe the Horde saw it before the Alliance.
bloody corruption threatened to spread all across Azeroth, but of course,
one nasty
we
model.
killed it. And call me a hipster, but G'huun is by far my favorite old god. Its model is just disgustingly amazing. I mean, the fight starts with its little butthole mouth poking out of a wall, and then it births itself out of it later in the fight.
Let us lay waste to this realm.
Seduce, thank you for the follow. Welcome to our Scourge. Yeah, I totally agree. G'huun was a great boss, great backstory. Everything about G'huun was probably one of the better things to come out of BFA.
Shoot it with a giant laser and it wiggles around in pain in an oddly adorable way. I mean, just how can you not like that? Big fan and super underrated, I think.
Agreed.
Okay, back to all the old gods being imprisoned. In Ulduar, the old god Yogg-Saron was trapped.
You know what G'huun always reminded me of? G'huun always reminded me of the freaking giant queen worm thing that used to drain people's brains in that one movie. Oh my god, it's that freaking cult classic. My dad used to watch it over and over. I've watched it 100 times. It's the bug fighting movie. You know, where all the soldiers go and they fight the bugs, and there's that one queen bug that like sticks the barb in people's heads and drinks their brains. What the hell is it called? Yeah, Starship Troopers. Yep, that's it. Yeah, Starship. No, not Ants. That's a freaking like animated movie.
Big fan
Yes,
and
Starship
super
Troopers.
underrated.
I am
think.
retarded. Yes.
Okay, back to all the old gods being imprisoned. In Ulduar, the old god Yogg-Saron was trapped. But as I explain this story, you'll quickly discover the Keepers and the Titan Forged did an awful job at keeping the old gods contained.
What's up?
Even though Yogg-Saron was imprisoned, his blood still flowed freely through the continent. This corruptive blood hardened into an ore called Serenite, and it was through this Serenite he was able to whisper to his imprisoners.
Someone else used a lot of Serenite. You may have heard of him before. The Lich King. That's right. Ice Crown Citadel, all of it made of Serenite.
Titanic Watchers, and he drove them into madness, which led to a whole bunch of infighting between them. Yogg-Saronite would also corrupt the monolithic dragon Galakrond.
Man, you know, come to think of it, blood in World of Warcraft in general is like very important. It's like a big thing. Like, you know, we have the orcs drank the blood of Manaroth, became corrupted. We have the blood of old gods corrupting things, becoming Serenite, like I use it for armor and stuff like that. The blood of Azeroth leaking out during BFA and being used for all kinds of stuff. Azerite, right? That's blood. So much blood. So much, and it's all important, I guess, in a way.
And then far later,
The point
it
of
would
the story,
corrupt
don't drink
world
the
tree of
blood, yeah.
Yggdrasil, and through that he was able to manifest the Emerald Nightmare. So he's had a lot of impact on the Warcraft universe,
Jesus,
despite
Cadence.
being in prison this whole time.
Blood Plague, Blood Boil. A lot of the stuff that Death Knights do is blood related. A lot of blood.
And Yogg also spread the Curse of Flesh, turning the Titan Forged into fleshy humanoids to make them even easier to corrupt. And he also gave them sex organs so they could fuck. I feel like people skip over that part a lot.
That's kind of true, though. Yeah, we couldn't repopulate before the Curse of Flesh. He literally gave us dicks. What the... Yogg-Saron's important. Didn't Yogg-Saron create the Nerubians, too? Isn't he the old god that, created the Nerubians? Correct me if I'm wrong. They're each one created one, like one of the bug races through their influence. It's like the Klaxi came from one. Yogg-Saron, I think, created the Nerubians. Yeah, and then so we're gonna hear more about him because the Nerubians are obviously important in the War Within going forward.
So despite Yogg-Saron being imprisoned, he was able to manipulate and corrupt the world around him through his solidified blood around the continent. Yogg-Saron would remain locked in his prison until Cho'Gall snuck into Ulduar and weakened his prison. This is honestly one of the most random events in Azeroth.
The hell, Cho'Gall?
Isn't really explained all too well in-game, and any mention of Cho'Gall or the appearance of the Twilight Hammer cult is very brief in the expansion.
Yeah, you would think Cho'Gall would be, like, mentioned more. I mean, maybe in WoD we would have heard about him. I literally... You know how I know about Cho'Gall? For freaking Heroes of the Storm. I didn't even know about him through WoW for a long time.
You would think
Read
that
more of his
weakening an
story.
old god's prison should have a bit more storytelling surrounding it. His influence on the Keepers strengthens, and players have to go into Ulduar, knock some sense into these Titan creations, and defeat Yogg-Saron.
Right.
And during the Yogg-Saron fight, players are transported to visions of Azeroth's past that may suggest the old god has influenced these events. like the creation of the
a
Dragon
great fight.
Soul, the assassination of King Lane in the First War, and the Lich King torturing Bolvar. One funny thing I gotta mention is that Yogg-Saron proclaims himself as the God of Death.
Bow down before the god of death!
Now, the weird thing about this is that
Jeez, what was that sound?
Yogg-Saron doesn't really practice any sort of necromancy or necrotic magic, and he doesn't really show up in the afterlife, the Shadowlands at all, and any sort of connection you would make to him and death...
Self-proclaimed god of death. I guess there's no... I mean, he is... his blood was used for the Lich King and stuff like that. That's how...
is kind of a stretch, so it's kind of like
God of
Yogg-Saron
Wrath.
just calls himself that because he thinks it sounds badass. And the explanation for his self-given title, yeah, it kind of just stops there.
Look upon the true face of death, and know that your end comes soon.
Bringer of death.
Is close.
G'huun. Okay, I have to say, of all of the old god whispers, I love the meaning behind N'Zoth's, but G'huun, in terms of the way he whispers, and the sound of his voice is definitely the most eerie and creepy.
All the way over in what would later be named Silithus, the old god G'huun was imprisoned in Ahn'Qiraj. Thousands
best
of years
whispers.
later, the Ahn'Qiraj would travel to this side of the continent, and some of them resettled in Ahn'Qiraj and were turned into the Qiraji in Silithid because of G'huun's influence. He even turned some of them into hot, sexy bug ladies, because he likes that sort of thing. G'huun and the Qiraji would slowly spend their time regaining their strength until they were reawakened by the Night Elves during the War of the Shifting Sands. This was a grave mistake, and the Night Elves had that crap beaten out of them, and eventually the Dragonflights had to step in and re-imprison G'huun and his bugs.
Makes sense.
Until later in Classic WoW, the gates of Ahn'Qiraj would be reopened.
Still one of the greatest events in WoW history, and I wish, Blizzard won't do it anymore because it breaks their servers, but man, wish we could have events like that again.
Players go in and defeat G'huun. Later on, Shogal attempted to revive G'huun, but this was mentioned in the Medan comic book series, so
It's not really canon.
let's not talk about it, nor do I think it's canon.
Yeah, I don't
and
think
look,
it is.
honestly, I feel bad for G'huun because he really does kind of nothing. I mean, yeah, his army did beat the Night Elves, but if your only win is against a race whose main trait is their ability to lose every single battle they've been in for thousands of years...
Wait a minute.
Yeah, no, I don't really think that...
The Night Elves have not lost every single battle, have they? The Trolls have, that's for sure. The they've taken a lot of L's, I guess. And they kind of have, now that I think about it. I mean, they did get destroyed by the Horde in BFA. Where else have they lost? I mean, they sent the High Elves away once they got, as they became the High Elves, they sent them away. Yeah. Their tree is burned to the ground. Yeah. Yeah, they've kind of lost a lot.
That's impressive.
I never really thought about it.
Will explode.
The lack of story or
that
world
real
building
whisper?
surrounding G'huun can mainly be attributed to him being the first old god introduced to players and then defeated in Classic WoW. And during Classic, grand narratives delving deep into the universe's history was not all that common as it is
Right.
now. G'huun is just a bug overlord with a giant eye because Lord of the Rings just came out and all-seeing eyes are badass.
True. Yes. Enter the
Throughout a
best of them
large
all.
majority of WoW's history, the old god N'Zoth has been a grand mystery hidden to players.
Not the strongest, but the planner of planners. He is the ultimate schemer. He is N'Zoth.
The Circle of Stars is the name of his prison, located deep within the ocean. And N'Zoth is one of those characters that has very little screen time, but has had a huge influence on Azeroth.
Sure has.
It was N'Zoth who had corrupted Neltharion and transformed him into Deathwing and had him shatter the world.
Himself to the deep places. He gave himself to me.
N'Zoth
right.
made a bargain with Queen Ajara and turned her and her
Naga.
highborn followers into the Naga.
Let the tides draw you into my dream.
He influenced Ragnaros and Ahn'Qiraj to fight for him so they could be free from their elemental prison.
Which is interesting, though, because in the early days, the elementals fought against the old gods. That was a big thing. But then the Titans kind of screwed over the Elementals, because the Titans kind of teamed up with the Elementals to fight back against the Black Empire. And then after it was done, the Titans showed their typical dick selves and imprisoned a lot of the Elementals. So I guess it makes sense that he teamed up. The enemy of your enemy is my enemy kind of thing, maybe.
Prisons.
My dream has become your own.
And all of this was to bring forth the Hour of
The
Twilight.
Hour of Twilight,
A
yeah.
future where the old gods reign supreme and end all life.
The hour approaches when all eyes shall be opened.
But of course, he fails in bringing forth such a future. It's hard to convey how much mystery and hype was behind the final old god
Does he fail? We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
at this point. We didn't know N'Zoth's location, voice, or even what N'Zoth looked like. In fact, the first time the old god was ever revealed to players was in Hearthstone in 2016 in the
Jesus.
Whispers of the Old God expansion. Yes, the reveal of Warcraft's most elusive and influential old god was in a
card
spin-off
game.
card game instead.
Fantastic.
N'Zoth playing a more upfront role in Warcraft's story wouldn't be until the Battle for Azeroth expansion. During the beginning of the expansion, N'Zoth and Queen Azshara sent their forces to Kul Tiras to corrupt its denizens, and in the Crucible of Storms mini-raid, we discover that an entire portion of N'Zoth's physical body is underneath the Shrine of Storms. We really have no idea how it got there, but you shouldn't be surprised an essence of an old god is under a giant temple in the shape of a tentacle monster. It was from this.
Right, perhaps he had influenced it, but that's the one thing that I the one reason why I believe N'Zoth could still be alive, because he stored his essence in places across Azeroth before. And he took a dagger, right? He took the Xal'atath dagger after he released her from it, and he told her, leave it with me, as, he freed her and let her go do her thing. And then we eventually used that dagger to stab the carcass of N'Zoth. I believe. We already know that dagger is capable of keeping an essence within it. It did it with Xal'atath for a long time. I believe he stored a piece of his essence in it before we killed him. Because he knew we were coming to kill him, based on the early events of Dragonflight. When he sees us go back in time, and he looks into our minds and sees his own demise. He says, I see you, I know who you are, what you will become, that kind of... He sees his own... You think the ultimate planner didn't plan a way out of his own death once he figured out what it was going to be? Come on. It's gotta be. That's why I still think he might be the one that's not dead yet.
This dark den of old god influence that Xal'atath made a bargain with N'Zoth to free her from the Blade of the Black Empire with the help from a clueless player character. Horde players then take the Blade of the Black Empire and go to Nazjatar to defeat Queen Azshara, and the Alliance follows them.
Right.
They quickly discover that fighting fish people in the middle of the ocean
Probably a bad
is
idea.
not the best idea.
Yeah.
Queen Azshara leads players to her eternal palace and deep into the ocean near N'Zoth's prison. In order to defeat Queen Azshara, players use their empowered Hearts of Azeroth necklaces, which inadvertently disables the wards, frees N'Zoth from his prison, and he steals Azshara away.
Yep. And she's going to come back in the War Within. We know that. This is why all these old god stories, you have to understand them and know them for the, the World Soul Saga. It's all going to be relevant and important still.
All that were sleeping shall be awakened.
Interesting line. Is he talking about Azeroth being asleep? That's the one. That I don't know if he's talking about us being awakened to the truth of the Titans. Is he talking about Azeroth being awakened from her eternal slumber that the Titans have put her in? I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, or
This
us.
is a big deal. This is the first time an old god has ever been freed from their prison. This is N'Zoth, the Lord of Ny'alotha, the god of the deep, the corruptor, the deep one, at full power, unleashing the madness of the old gods across Azeroth.
That's right.
Which all sounds cool, but gameplay-wise, we really just got horrific visions,
Yeah.
which are all right.
Those were decent. I mean, I remember it was mid-COVID doing that shit. It was kind of fun. And then the corrupted armor and all that corruption armor. Those things were cool.
Fought N'Zoth's minions in old zones with different skyboxes in them. But did you know there were plans for something far more grand?
Were there?
In the game's files, players discovered an incomplete version of the Nazjatar zone, where more than half the zone was N'Zoth after he was freed from his imprisonment.
What?
Like, the old god is so big that he just is the zone. Unfortunately, this idea was scrapped in development, and Blizzard did.
That would have been cool, man. Instead, they gave
Try
us
to
this
convey-
shitty skybox, this fucking cartoon skybox. Oh, man. Sometimes Blizzard, who makes these decisions?
The scale of N'Zoth by having his tentacles and body be represented in the skybox, which is cool, but the idea of having him physically
Would've been
be
amazing.
the zone is such a cool idea that I hope they try and execute in future content patches. So the battle for Azeroth ends with us venturing to the alternate old god reality called Ny'alotha
Right.
and killing N'Zoth with a laser beam, and
Yeah.
he just dies.
My
And
Captain Planet moment, we kill him, the freaking laser beam, so anticlimactic.
yes, N'Zoth is dead. There was a theory for a while that the old god survived, but nope.
Well,
Really?
I know Xal'atath is saying he's dead, but that doesn't mean there's a piece of his essence. Maybe. Okay, maybe I'm trying to cope. Maybe I'm trying to cope. Hey, that's what it is. Maybe he is dead. Damn it.
Dead. There was a theory for a while that the old god survived, but nope. Really dead. Along with all the other old gods. Now that being said, during Dragonflight, we actually traveled back in time
there's a
to when the
chance.
Black Empire reigned over Azeroth, and there were new whispers from the N'Zoth.
This is what I was talking about. This event right here is when N'Zoth sees how we kill him. How is he going to let that shit still happen? He's known as the ultimate planner, the schemer. He let it happen even though he had seen it, how it happens? Come on.
Hinting at our future.
Still a chance. This line.
What you were, what you will yet be. Deeper, deeper its roots will reach.
This line right here is very much tied with the War Within, Khaz-Elgar, and all the zones that we're going to get into, because there are roots going deeper into that part of the world.
Welcoming our embrace. With many eyes, they will see again. They will drink and be uplifted.
With many eyes, they will see it. Holy shit! I never related it to the Nerubians. The new Nerubians, who are drinking the blood or gathering the blood, taking the corruption with many eyes. They're bugs. They have a lot of eyes. They will see and be uplifted. They're becoming this humanoid form. Oh my god. Is it related to the Nerubians? The new Nerubians and this new version of them? The Ascended? Yeah.
Will follow him to the deep places. The dark waters will flow in his wake.
Who is him?
Her dreams sing beneath the surface.
Her dream sings, sounds like Azeroth, like a song is how they describe her, and she's dreaming, asleep. Yeah, maybe. It's Bran.
Our dreams.
We're following Bran into the delves. Yeah, oh, yeah. Okay, I thought you were joking, but you may have a point there. You may have a point, Cadence. Or Magni, maybe. Yeah, or Magni.
This could be N'Zoth from back in time, or the lingering essence of the old god in the modern time, or we really don't know right now. What I'm trying to say is the entire concept of death to an eldritch, mysterious entity like an old god is not really some black and white concept.
Yeah.
At some point in WoW's history, there could be a random MacGuffin item or event, and then poof, they're all alive in
A
Azeroth
Xal'atath dagger. Maybe. He's right.
again, and it wouldn't really seem too far-fetched.
Yeah.
Very fan-servicey? Definitely. But honestly, I wouldn't mind it. Specifically, I'd love to see the return
wouldn't
of
mind it either.
G'huun in a comeback raid that's kind of akin to Ragnaros' return in Firelands. And you know what? Yogg-Saron, he can come along too.
Yippee!
And those are all the old gods on Azeroth. Now, there is speculation of Xal'atath being an old god, or perhaps there's more old gods on the other side of Azeroth, but all of those theories are just speculation at the time of making this video. Oh, I almost forgot. There's also a random unnamed old god in Outland. It's not expanded upon at all.
Yeah,
or
probably
ever mentioned
retconned
again.
at this point.
And, yeah. That's all the old gods.
Probably not
Thanks again
important.
to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video.
There it is.
You can jump into the game by scanning the QR code or clicking the link down
Play
in the
raid or
description.
get laid.
Excellent.
Or this at the same time, I don't know. Great video. And yes, I can't wait. I'm excited too, Jaway. Let's go, indeed. This is the thing, guys. All of this lore. No more dancing around the fact that there's a giant sword in the planet. No more dancing around the fact that these old gods did what they did. No more dancing around the fact that a Void Lord is coming. I feel like all this lore, all this core, hardcore, deep, deep lore from previous World of Warcraft stories, it's coming to fruition. It's coming together, and Chris Metzen is spinning his little fingers, getting it all ready, dropping lines like hell you would. Oh man. It's all coming together, and it's all going to happen in the World Soul Saga, and it's all going to start in less than a week. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so damn excited. I'm getting goosebumps even talking about it. Great video from Platinum WoW. Love the old gods.